a delight to be back. And back, not worse for wear. If you look too close, don't look too close. I've unbuttoned a couple of buttons, but nothing to be dangerous. So a little bit more here, a little bit less here, still waiting on an implant. Yes, since I saw you, I bought another car. This is a thing. If you're new to hanging out with me, I'm a little obsessed. I've learned through a new book that I discovered just yesterday called ADHD 2.0 that there is a reason why I'm obsessed with many things, and I go deep for long. It is really lovely to be back. And I know that I'm home when simple signs become clear very quickly. One of them was walking in the door and being greeted by Len's smile. One of them was looking out and seeing the beautiful parking lot that you've been able to create and manifest, and the labyrinth, and thinking, they have a labyrinth. Rock and roll. And one was just standing here quietly as Len and Tony and others got ready for the service, and they laid down the Lenten book, 40 Days of Letting Go. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. Let it be, let it go. That was my talk today. So there are connections being made in our heads and hearts all the time. Yesterday, I attended a memorial service. This afternoon, I will attend another one. Yesterday's was for a woman 2 days shy of her 90th birthday, Betty Lindsay. Betty was a member of the congregation that I am currently a member of, that I do not need to lead. I am ministered to, which is the United Parish in Brookline. And Betty has been a member for 51 years. And I don't think that I've ever been as moved by a memorial service, by several tributes in a row, one by her daughter, one by the minister of the church, my friend Reverend Kent, and one that incorporated at least 20 different stories from the congregation. I don't think I've ever been as moved, because what I've been thinking about all week and in my life right now is the power of staying. Now, even as I think about a new car and I'm obsessed with the right down jacket, and I can spend hours trying to pick a hotel on a trip that I've never will probably ever take, there is part of me that knows that that distraction is what keeps me from the beauty and the pain that is available in just staying put. Betty stayed put, which is why I think of her this morning. She stayed put after having escaped a very difficult first husband. It's not telling tales out of school. It was shared yesterday by her daughter that she left a small town in Maine at the age of 29, I believe, as a single mother with 3 kids in tow, moving to Boston without really a penny in her pocket because things had gotten unbearable with that current first husband. Reinvented her life, found a church, found a little apartment in the basement, eventually moved in that triple-decker from the basement to the top floor. Lots of metaphor and power there. And Betty did so by sticking with it and staying put. A lot of us are church shopping consistently, or we find a podcast that we love, and then somebody mentions another one, or a book that's going to change our life, or, I don't know, a nutritional supplement, or perhaps a different kind of massage. Reiki's working, but we're obsessed with finding something else, something better. This is not only an American trait, it is a human trait. When we are looking constantly, when we are scrolling constantly through life, what we are doing is missing the very gifts that are available when we actually stay put. When we decide, this is my spiritual home. I'm going to go more regularly. I'm going to actually get to know the people. I'm actually going to learn the music. I might even move. I might even sing more loudly. Heck, I might actually even go to coffee hour and have a longer conversation with somebody I've never met. Now, this congregation is pretty tight. I speak all over the place. I love coming here because there is a massive amount of love that's shared. I also think that that can move us to a kind of complacency. So there are ways to stay in place and to be still, but not be inspired and be able to hear the voice of God moving us in a new direction. Both are true. Human beings live in a dichotomy, multiple dichotomies. How do we grow spiritually and stay in the same place while also expanding our minds, our hearts, and our actions into new understandings of social justice, into new understandings about a housing crisis, into new understandings about what we can and can't do in the world that is political and, for many, terrifying at the moment. So what I come back to again and again, and that I find reminders of in things that are on my bedside table, is this understanding that all we have is all we need already. All we need is all we have. All we have is all we need. This is a unity principle that doesn't get talked about a lot. A New Thought principle that says, I don't need a new car. I might need a new muffler, but I don't need a new car. I don't need a new partner. My husband would be happy to hear that. I don't need a new church. I don't need a new recovery program. What I need, what each and every one of us here needs, is to understand that good is unfolding constantly around us. And the only way to touch it is to be able to get still enough to see it and plug in. A couple of nights ago, I took myself to see the Avatar follow-up film, which really doesn't give it enough credit. An amazing 10-year journey to create the sequel to Avatar, the movie, which is called Avatar, The Way of Water. And I took myself to see it because I had heard, it's not amazing, it didn't get amazing reviews, but that it was stunningly beautiful. Well, I'll tell you, it's a pretty amazing film. There's a moment where, if any of you have seen the first Avatar film, or if you've seen the second one, I preached a lot about that first film because the message, the greeting that the indigenous people in the film, the Na'vi, speak to one another is very simple. I see you. I see you. I see you. And they also have this ability in the first one, the forest people of the Na'vi, to plug into the mother tree that feeds all life. And so I was thrilled to be sitting there in my plush seat. I don't know if there are simple auditoriums for films anymore, right? There's 17 buttons. I don't know how to work them. I haven't been to the movies for a long time. But I'm sitting back and I've got the popcorn. And then there's this beautiful moment where everything gets still. And one of the characters takes actually her braid, which has got little feli on the end, little hairs, and she plugs it into the mother tree that is actually in the ocean and flipped upside down, almost like an inverted sea anemone. Silence, she plugs in, and the tree itself extends a little bit, and her hairs extend a little bit, and they connect. And it's silent. And in that moment, everything is possible. She is plugged into all of life. She is plugged into every choice, every memory, and every possibility moving forward. And you experience that in the film with her. She has some flashbacks and some flash forwards. That, for me, is a beautiful example of what I get to experience mornings when I don't look at the phone, mornings when I don't turn on CNN, mornings when I don't engage with the world until I've been able to find my plug-in moment. And that's one of the reasons why I suggested that we sing and experience together the Simon and Garfunkel hit, The Sounds of Silence. Silence has sounds. Just for a second, close your eyes. And in the silence, which is never silent, see if you can hear your own breath, or the sounds out on Wall Nav, the sounds in the sky, passing cars, and perhaps even the sound of your own thinking, your own wondering about the future, wondering about the past, making decisions about whether or not this current moment feels right and good, or whether you want to move away from it. And just be with it. And coming back, knowing that in that moment, there is a refreshment. God is available in the sounds of silence. Silence is ever present. But in our day-to-day, it gets covered over with so much noise that we get confused. And so I think that the work is to figure out how to really own that all we have is all we need, and all we need is all we have already. And also to find ways to affirm that the good we are is enough. And for some of us, that sounds like a silly platitude. So let me explain how, in a very pragmatic, practical way, which is why I love New Thought, and I love unity in particular, let me give you a practical application from my own life. So yesterday, I come from this memorial service. I know I'm going to another one tomorrow. Somebody that I remember from my 6th grade birthday party at my house, my first boy-girl party at my house. I invited a particular person who I didn't know all that well, and we became friends. He passed away about 4 days ago. And I wanted to find a picture of him, and so as I'm looking for the picture, I see a note in this album that my mother gave me, which is sort of a collection of Adam stuff. And one of the pieces of information next to photos of my 3rd grade classroom is a report card, and in that report card, it's a one-sheeter. Basically, it's the parent-teacher conference report, right? And in that, after having read an hour earlier, this is how God works in my life, about ADHD and how it manifests over a lifetime, and how its dichotomy is so challenging for many of us, which is literally 5 to 10% of the population they have discovered and found. The dichotomy is brilliant creativity, and I use that word. I have some very cool ideas. Often brilliant artistic capacity, often musical capacity, all the things that I think I bring to the world and that I've been blessed with and really look to share every day. And there's always a flip side, and the flip side is I forget lyrics and I get confused about the order of things. And what I need to be able to do, like all of us, when I get confused, is to come back to the understanding that it's okay. It's okay. And I got that from reading the ADHD book, and then being open to God, I pull out this picture of my friend Carl. I see this report card one-sheeter. And I was literally reading it to my husband who was making dinner. And the sentence from 3rd grade said, Adam is well liked by everyone in the classroom. However, he needs to learn to control his tendency to be distracted, because when he does his work and can stay focused, his work is excellent. And I mention that because in that moment was a rush of self-compassion. And I could look over and see my 3rd grade picture, and I looked so unhappy. And my husband said so clearly, Edwin said, of course you look unhappy if this is the take of what that classroom experience was like for you. Brilliant, gifted, ready to open your heart and your gifts to the world, but also really struggling to find the right structure and way to do that. And I come right back to the understanding that I seek to remember every day and every time that I come to see all of you, and I'm able to hang out for a little bit and share some of my life so that I hope it touches yours. I am still on that journey to self-acceptance, to understanding that if the lyrics get a little jumbled, the heart is still wide open. If for some reason the new car I'm dreaming of doesn't come through, it's probably a good sign that the one I have is just fine. And that no matter the traffic, no matter the ease, no matter the flip of the dichotomy of life, the good and the bad, somewhere in that then, between the two, is the sound of silence. And if I can just breathe into that for just a little bit, everything is possible. I can feel enough. The world then shows that back to me. And I can move through my day feeling just smart enough, just kind enough, and just still enough so that I believe that I am still enough. Each and every one of you is still enough. In this quiet moment and in the chaos that will ensue soon enough. And so just taking all of that in this morning. Your flaws and your fantastical gifts. The ways in which life shows up beautifully and the ways in which you judge it to be less than. Let's just breathe into that and let that go. Breathing in and out. Coming back to the full understanding that we are enough. And there is good work to do, folks. Amen.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.